Okay. Hi, everybody. We are just getting ourselves together here with the Self-Care podcast and Jeramy Freeman, who is here today. And we're going live on Instagram, which technically puts us a nanosecond behind. So we have lots of things that we want to share with you today. So a little bit about my guest, Jeramy Freeman, of Freeman Formula. So first of all, he is a contributing author to my book, Emotional Healing, Toxic-Free Living, and the subtitle, Model New Behaviors and Reset Old Belief Systems, right? And I think it's really kind of cute. So the woman is standing on water in the clouds, right? So which means you can do anything that you want to do, right? So that's what that image means. Secondly, Jeramy wrote he made a contribution in the last chapter, which are words are just vibrations in the air. And so I encourage you to read his, because his is about vibrations. Okay. That's his title of his contribution. But why would you want to listen to Jeramy? So let me tell you, besides the fact that he's a very good friend of mine, spiritual brother, and probably the most authentic person that I know on the planet.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, all day, right? So I'm going to read his bio. Please forgive me because I don't have it memorized. So Jeramy Freeman is a visionary leader in self-leadership and personal transformation. And as an IFBB professional athlete, yes, he was the most photographed bodybuilder in the world, probably just outside of Schwarzenegger. He is the CEO of Freeman Formula, which makes amazing formulas for your health, but specifically what we're going to talk about today is our brain health. And he is a seasoned biochemist. That's right. So he created those. And he has dedicated decades of empowering individuals to achieve greatness. This actually leaves out something because it was a short space. He was also the inspiration for the Pixar's Mr. Incredible movie. Yeah, take a look at that, right? You'll see the resemblance. So that's my man. Anyways. So we have a lineup of things to discuss today. One is today is Juneteenth, and we're going to tie that into workplace productivity and performance. Okay. Also, we're going to talk about how you might be feeling. Are you feeling depleted? And why you might be feeling depleted. And we're going to talk about, because Jeramy was doing corporate wellness for many, many years, very effective. And he's going to ask me some questions about what I'm doing differently. So that's kind of our lineup. It's kind of no surprise that we are doing this show on June 19th, which is Juneteenth. And when you look it up, it says Juneteenth is a federal holiday because it commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. But I'm going to tell you, I assert that it is still here and it's for everybody despite your color. Okay? Because we are a slave to our patterns. We are a slave to our behaviors, which then takes us to the next point, which we're going to talk more fully, but takes us to feeling depleted every day, either when we wake up, after eating, after dinner, and we're not living a life of vitality and a life that we love. And Jeramy is the epitome of living life on purpose. And so that's why he is here to speak with us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Brother, go.
Well, I think, again, the things that we, again, talking about Juneteenth and being a slave to our own minds, the way we think, our thinking patterns, our habits, the way we consistently think, are the things that kind of hold us up. Because what happens is we a lot of times think with limitation, think about, what we can't do, what we shouldn't do, what we're not capable of, or even, of course, giving power to the things that are outside of ourselves. And of course, that happens a lot because we're in a world where there's a lot going on outside of ourselves. And so, for us to be able to take our power back, we have to be able to manage our minds. We have to manage our thoughts, because what happens is our thought process is a lot of times not even an internal process anymore. It's literally external. We're always, looking at our, social media on our phones, and it's out here and what's going on in the world. What this person said, this person did, the news, whatever it is. So a lot of times our attention and our thought process is outside of ourselves, but we need to really structure our days, where we start our day by focusing on ourselves, and start our day by focusing inward. And how are we thinking, and again, and what will we, bring to the day today? Again, I always say we're all creators. Okay. Every one of us are creators, we create thought by thought, word by word, action by action. That's the great thing about this life, is we get to create the life that we want to live, and that's why I always talk about greater vision. The vision leads us. If we have a greater vision, it leads us to where we want to go. Because I use my bodybuilding when I was a bodybuilder, that it led me. I had a greater vision to be this bodybuilder. And so when I'd get up each day, I'd say, okay, my vision is to be this championship bodybuilder who's making an impact, that's spreading health and wellness and the awareness of health and wellness into the world. And I would see that vision. I would just spend time with that vision. And what that did is the vision led me. It led me in the way I thought. I couldn't think weak. I had to think strong, and it led me in the word
get from point A to point B, is it?
What's that?
Thinking weak will not get you from point A to point B.
No. And that's what happens is, listen, we are told by the people that even love us, what we can't do, what we shouldn't do, what we're not supposed to do, and even what we're not capable of. So we all know inside of ourselves that there's something greater there. And so we need to connect with that voice inside of ourselves each day, every day, and start our day there and take our power back. And again, I used to do it by focusing on my vision. Okay. So that greater vision for me, it led me, because it led, again, the way that I thought, the words that I would speak. I had to speak strong. I couldn't say I'm weak and I'm pathetic, I'm this or that. I had to see myself,
right?
I had to see myself as strong, powerful, and I had to apply myself and live, move, live, and breathe in that vision. And then, of course, my actions. That's the thing that we want to really serve us, is, again, when I had that greater vision, rather than me sitting on the couch, I couldn't do that. Instead, I would go and I would work out or exercise. Instead of sleeping in the morning and hitting the alarm over and over again, I'd get up and go do my cardio or spend time connecting with that inner voice, and connecting myself. And so essentially, when you have a greater vision, it leads you. Okay. And it helps you make better, it makes you think clear. Thoughts, words, and actions start to align. So that's where I think we start. That's how we take our power back. That's how we end the slavery that we have with everything external of us, and go back inward and start to reclaim our power, reclaim the way we're, thinking positively, that serves us, and speaking positively in a way that serves us, and taking actions that also serve us, which, again, are the things that we're going to talk about today, because there's a lot of things out there that can steal our power that we're unaware of. And so,
Daniel Amen from Amen Clinics,
yes,
he talks, it just came to me, about ants, and which is automatic negative thinking, because there's a lot of us who've been programmed to have ants, automatic negative thinking.
Sure.
And I can promise you, I was one of those people.
I think we've all fallen into that. Listen, the first word that we learn as a children, 9 out of 10 times, is the word no, and not because our parents, are trying to instill negativity in us by any means. It's just that, hey, when you're a child and you're getting into everything, you're like, hey, no, don't touch that. Hey, don't, put your finger in the light socket, whatever, those type of things, and so the parents are always, saying the words no. So we learn that word very, very quickly. And then, of course, beyond that, we start realizing that, oh, we can't do that, can't touch that, can't, so what we can't do, what we shouldn't do, what we're not supposed to do.
Well, and it's fear-based, right? It's totally fear-based. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So to end the global slavery, or for sure the United States of America, right? I think that people have to explore for themselves, and it's going to be different for everybody, but I think there's some foundational things. about why they may be feeling depleted, right? And, are they, let me just do some easy ones out of the gate. The water supply. Are you neutralizing the electromagnetic frequencies? Do you have a bunch of microplastics in your brain? Like, I don't know, most of America, which I have a solution for that. And I think, what else did I put in there? Oh, and of course, who are you surrounding yourself with that could be making you feel depleted, and you just don't know how to move the needle? Like, you don't know how to use your voice. You don't know how to say, hey, I love you and I need a minute, right? So, because you may be self-depleting because you're not really telling people what you need, and they would be happy to serve you. I just kind of heard that. Someone who's listening, they would be happy to serve you if you just told them what you needed. So, and, when we make these small shifts in our day to day, which could be what Jeramy and I do, right? Jeramy and I learned when I first met him, both start the morning just doing what we need to do for our own. Now, they're not exactly the same, like, I don't know exactly what his routine is, and he doesn't know exactly what my routine is. It doesn't matter. Find the routine that's best for you. For me, I start off the day, I don't actually hit the snooze button, but I wake up and I go straight into prayer, and my feet don't hit the ground, and I get my marching orders from God. Then I get the house together and I go out and I exercise in between the rain that we're having here in Georgia. But what is your like your routine right here? Like, for
Well, I've always say, because I ran a transformation program up north, and of course, for years and years and years, and it was very popular, called Project 42. And a number of other programs too, but I always said, never give your first 2 hours of your day away to anyone. It has to be focused on you. And so that's all of our programs were early morning for people. So of course we would help them direct mindset, and of course, focus on themselves, exercising, challenging themselves, pushing themselves to new levels. And so, of course, it's not always required that you're doing something very, very intense or high intensity at all. As a matter of fact, now I probably do the exact opposite, because I used to start out exactly like that. Like, I would get up and I would, of course, have my routine where I would start focusing my mind, but I would get on the rower. And I would row all out, as hard as I could, to get 500 meters in. And so I have actually broken the world record in the 500 meter row before, with about 40 or 50 people present.
Well, so I'm just going to tell you, because I was very called to say, everybody take a look at his shoulders.
They're a lot smaller than they used to be.
But still much broader and stronger than most of the world. Okay. So, and it's and you don't have to have Jeramy's shoulders, right? To carry yourself tall. Right.
Right. Yes. So, well, what I would do is I would start out by almost putting myself into a simulated state of stress. So when you're pushing with everything you got, your whole entire body, to be able to do 500 meters in, a minute and 15 seconds, a minute, 20 seconds, or even a minute and 30 seconds. Just go try to row, on a rower, 500 meters, as fast as you can. Just try to get under 2 minutes. And what's going to happen is your body is an automatic simulated state of stress that you're putting it in. Okay. And so for me, I love that, because I was now putting myself in the state, and then I'd have to try to, recollect myself. And sometimes when you're pushing so hard, your whole body, you're, panting and gasping for air. and your breathing's out of control, you have to now get it back in control. And so a lot of times, of course, that would also, produce some endorphins. And so it'd give me that little pick me up that I needed to get me sweating before I went to do my walk or whatever it was. And so I really used to love really pushing myself into a stress state and then bringing myself back out of it. And then, using my mind to be able to, again, focus on my vision. But every day, okay, I always say, do not give away those first 2 hours and even an hour, and listen, if you're not doing it, do 15 minutes. The bottom line is just take time for yourself, and whatever your routine is. It could be get up to meditate. It could be to stretch. It could be to, do some light cardio, go for a walk. I mean, whatever it is, it's just you and that internal voice. Okay. We all have it. Okay. Some people dismiss it, but the bottom line is we all have this guiding voice inside of us that when we stop and get quiet, and we don't just go and grab our phone and get on our phone to see who's texted us or, what's going on Facebook or Instagram or any type of social media. Instead, just be still, be quiet with yourself and have that internal conversation. Ask yourself the questions. A lot of times we don't ask ourselves questions. I feel like it's really important to ask ourselves questions, quality questions. Like, again, what will I do today that will help me improve who I was yesterday? Good question to ask. Okay, well, today I'm going to, do this or that, whatever it is. The bottom line is we have the opportunity. Every day is an opportunity for growth and improvement, but only if we make it. And if we set the expectation in our day early in the day, then we're more apt to rise to the occasion. So that's why, again, I think the morning is just a key time for anybody who wants to optimize their day and set themselves up for success. Okay. Not giving their power away. Okay. I say your power because your thoughts are creative, and so the things we think and how we think dictate what every cell in our body does. So if you start focusing on being stressed right from the very beginning of the day, like you hit the alarm over and over again, and now you're like, oh my God, I gotta get ready for work, and you're up and you're frantic, and now you're getting ready for work, and I'm gonna be late, and then you get in the car and you're like, oh my goodness, so if you started yourself in that stress state, okay, that stress state keeps going, okay? Because the things we think and how we think dictate what every cell in our body does. So you start, thinking that those stressful thoughts and anxiety, and you produce those stressful hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and your body, of course, every cell in your body tells you what to do from there. You're breathing fast and shallow, and your whole body reciprocates from what you're thinking. So again, manage your mind. First and foremost, that's managing your power, because your thought is power. A lot of people don't think of it that way. Okay, but thought is power, because when we think of the things that are outside of ourselves or that are negative or that are happening in the world, and we watch the news or whatever it is, anything that can upset us, something that somebody said, doesn't matter what it is, it's outside of us. That is literally giving your power away. You want to set yourself up for success by going internally and knowing what your purpose is for the day.
Yeah. And Chris said, mindset and intention setting in the morning can be a game changer. She has a similar, program for wake up as I do. Not the same, but similar, meaning, she holds her mornings as sacred space. And so we're talking about workplace productivity and performance. And you're like, well, we're just talking about the morning. Well, it sets your day, right? And so we can come in and teach this to your employees, right? And give them new patterns, new behaviors, new ways to approach their day. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But to give you an idea about how thoughts become things, I've used my thoughts to self-heal for many, many years. But recently, as Jeramy knows, about 22 months ago, every dormant virus in my body was activated, and it showed up on my skin as a serious skin imperfections. We'll just call it that, right? So there was weight gain involved, and my friend, Dr. Steven Spencer, who, Jeramy, I will be introducing you to, because you guys are very like-minded. He's also a bodybuilder, naturopathic doctor, and integrity, like you, is his number one value. And I know he wanted to help me. I think there were many times you wanted to help me, but I knew that what was happening for my skin was an opportunity for me to release a belief system. Okay. And same with the weight. Okay. So it was energetic. It was not because I have a very strict lifestyle. Like that's why I teach this, right? I'm steadfast. I do what I say that I'm going to do. I'm out there. And if I can't get out first thing in the morning and at the end of the day to get the sun, the light, I'm using, my red, my pads, right? So like I have backups, like no excuses, right? And so Chris, who is right here, right, saying how mindset intention, she and I did some energy work together where something had to be released. And I had a conversation with Dr. Stephen, and I said, wait till you see my body. Like I said, because I now know, because I can feel the difference, that the energy and the thought form that was supporting that energy is now released. The negative thought is released. And I spoke with such conviction into existence what my reality is, and my body's already changing, and I can see it in my legs, and I can see it in my thighs, and I can see it in my collarbone yesterday. I mean, I can see the transformation. And so what am I telling you this for? Because you can speak, actually, not you can, you do speak into existence your reality. So it would behoove you to speak good thoughts, right?
Right.
And so if I can, Jeramy, do you remember when I came out at the end of December to you and I said, we're reframing mental health for the world? And in the book, and I said, and I think I mistaken said, oh, I can do it for people. And you go, well, Jodi, I can't stand behind that if you're the only one who can do it. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, everybody can do it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody
Has that power.
has the power.
They have to just admit, they have to realize it first and foremost and know that, there's a lot of things out there that are that pull our energy in a negative way, and that can definitely hurt us if we're not aware of it, essentially. So awareness is very key. But again, each person has to, they have to be ready for monitoring their own minds, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Monitoring their words and their action. Those three things: your thoughts, words, and action.
Fine.
That's alignment. When you align your thoughts, your words, and your actions together, it starts moving you in a positive direction. The problem is a lot of people are thinking one thing, saying another, and doing something totally different, or their actions are sporadic. They have the idea to do something good for a day or two, but then they're off back doing all the things that they, going back into their old habits, behaviors, and rituals that make them the slave, to their old patterns. And so, if you continually go back to who you've always been, you'll never become who you're meant to be.
Right. And you have to be willing to release those patterns.
Mhm.
There was a time where, and look, I'm not going to lie to you. Some of these patterns, they're going to be hard to release because you're attached to them like I was attached to them. And you might have, some teardrops along the way as you release this old version of yourself, but it's okay. A good thing is drink the teardrops. It's a homeopathic remedy for healing. Brooke Collins has a question. She says, how do you set your intention at the beginning of the day? Do you want to answer that first or should I go first?
You go ahead.
For me, Brooke, thank you. For me, Brooke, when I wake up, I go straight into prayer before I do anything. And I wait until I hear God and I hear his word about, and I ask, what are my priorities for today? Like, what God do you need me to focus on? I have things in my calendar, but if he has a plot twist for me, that's what I follow. Now, if you are not hearing God yet, okay, because sometimes we were programmed not to hear, what you can do is make a list of everything before you go to bed the night before and set the intention the night before so you can also sleep well because sleep is critical. And you can decide on what is most important by the high value activities. What is going to move the needle based upon your specific goals in your life? What's going to move the needle fastest to from point A to point B? Jeremy?
Yeah, very similar for me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you've heard me talk specifically about, what is vital to me today. I always break things into vital, good, and busy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so essentially, like, my intention for the day is to get, vital is doing the things that move me forward and help me make progress in my business or in my life. Good is the things that are always fun to do. Usually you're doing it with somebody else, or maybe having a conversation with somebody else that you enjoy, but it distracts you from the vital work that moves you forward. Then busy work is the things that we do all day long, every day, that keep us busy, make us feel like we've done an awful lot, but we've actually done nothing that's moved us forward. So again, if we can break it down from vital, the one that really moves us forward that we should be focusing on, good, the one that does distract us from vital, but it's fun to do and it's enjoyable, and then of course busy. So I dissect. And so those are the things that I do to set my intention. So again, I already know what my vital is. And so it's easy for me to go to that. But as far as, my connecting with my own intention, that I've been doing it for a long time. So if it's something you haven't done, then, Jodi says that she speaks to God. Well, I have a little different interpretation of that. I feel like every single one of us, we all see God differently, so we all, we're all in an individuation. Everybody is unique. Everybody sees the world differently. We all have different experiences, upbringings, religious beliefs, political beliefs. Again, we are a combination of so many different experiences that I believe that we're all our own individuation, our own perfect individuation of the creative spirit of God. And so I believe that voice that's inside of us that inspires each one of us, it's different for each of us.
Yes,
What inspires me is not what inspires Jodi, and what inspires me is not what's going to inspire you, Brooke. Essentially, I don't know what it is that lights you up and gets you going, but you know what that is. And so when you connect to that is you connecting to that inner voice inside of you that lights you up. I believe that's God, because when
and that is God.
It is God.
No, that is God.
Yes.
Because there's a part of the book in here, and then also that I quoted from Living Judaism, and by Rabbi Wayne Dosick, I think it is, and he says how God, when he created the earth, blew his light into these glass jars, and the vessels couldn't hold all his light, and the jars, splintered, and those little splinters are shards, shards of his light inside all of us. So your inner voice is absolutely God,
Yeah.
I mean, like, my definition is imperfect, Jeremy. And
no, listen, I'm not saying mine is either. I just look at it differently. Yeah. I listen. Yeah, go ahead.
Woman here, Chris, we are she's one of my closest friends on the planet, quite frankly. Okay. And she and I speak completely different. And it's because the people that need to hear her,
exactly,
her language,
exactly,
my language. So that's why it's so important for all of us to stop judging like other people and their languaging or whatever.
God is shining through all of us.
Yes.
Yes. Again, we're all an individuation of perfection. Okay. We just have to embrace that and know that. And then again, when we have those inner conversations, know that that voice inside is the voice that does guide us. And, you never hear anybody ever say, oh, I shouldn't have listened to my gut. I shouldn't have listened to that voice inside. No, they're always saying I should have, because they didn't. The bottom line is that voice inside, it never misleads. It never misguides. It tells you. And so the problem is most people aren't tied into it, listening to it. And so again, we are all a perfect individuation of the creative power that's out there. We know this because our thoughts are creative. The unseen, everything comes from the unseen to the seen. Well, guess what? Thoughts are unseen, ideas are unseen, a greater vision is unseen. And so
unseen. No.
Anything that we see in our physical existence was first a thought. It was first an idea before it ever became anything physical. So if we understand and know this, then here we are as creators, connected to creation. God is creation. All creation. We are creators. How beautiful is that each day we get to get up and create. We get to create something that is important to us. We get to write something that means something to us. We get to create a song or a book or just, again, enjoy our day and enjoy the people that we love. The bottom line is that every day we get to create and, again, appreciate and be grateful for this life that we're living here and create every day through our thoughts.
I'm so glad you're saying this.
Create.
Because you're talking about how grateful we should be that we get to create, right? And I listened to you and you've said this to me for many years, and I'm just going to be blatantly honest about something. I think it goes in one ear for me and out the other. That's not a disrespect to you. It's because I grew up thinking, of course we're supposed to create, because I had two amazing parents like you, right? Mm-hmm. And so I took it for granted. Mm-hmm. Everyone else knew that we're here to create. Of course we're here to create. I was thinking, I'm like, what's he talking about?
A lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people, they become a victim to their, again, their thought process, a victim to what they've told they can do, they can't do, what they shouldn't do, what they're not supposed to do. And we start to, again, think about, I think about it like this, if thought is creative, then let's think positively and build up. Our thoughts, they either are constructive or they're destructive. And so if we want to build up, then think of thoughts that are constructive, that build up, right? And you've heard me say this before, Jodi, too. We really can think of two things. We have a power in us, okay? A power that is creative, and that is our thought. Okay, so thought can either be powerful and empowering, or it can be limiting. And so think about your thoughts when you're going throughout your day. Is this thought a limiting thought, or is this an empowering thought? And if we monitor those things, that is when we take our power back. If anything steals your power and creates limitation, okay, or a victim thought process or mentality, then you're giving your power away. Okay, and usually it's just something that's outside of you. Take your power back. Your thoughts are powerful. They're creative, and you want them to be constructive, and you want them to build you up. Okay, so when we operate from a position of thinking positive and constructively, it builds on itself. If you do it all day long today and you're aware of it all day long today, and instead of letting your mind just go wherever it goes and let this take your mind wherever it takes you, and then watch a show or a movie or whatever, and you never use this and direct this, the mind, okay, with thought, with imagination, with ideas, and with vision, okay, then again, we're giving our power away. And again, we're all powerful. We're all powerful beings. And you have Christopher on here who's talking about, have you ever referenced your vision with better wording?
Reframed your vision with better wording.
I have my glasses on there.
Let me read for you. And I want to add it because I was getting a link for this. He says, have you ever reframed? Let me just back up. First of all, about those belief systems, I've created this all clear protocol that Christopher has told me he is using and loves it. So if he wants to share about that, I'd be happy. But I'm going to share the link so people can clear. It's a free, you don't have to pay me anything. It's just a free gift on how you can clear belief systems like this. And it takes sometimes, depending how deep it is into the neural network of the brain, to clear, right? Or into the cells. And what Christopher is asking you, Jeramy, asking us is, have you ever reframed your vision with better wording? I am good. I am better. I am the best. For me, Christopher, mine's very short. I used to think, because of the misdiagnosis for 2 decades, that my body didn't know how to heal. So my phrase is, my body is a master healing machine. Jeramy, go. There you go.
Yeah, well, yes, definitely. I mean, even in my business, of course, I go through this with my employees. I said, listen, when we look at our work, is the work that we've done good? And if it is good, then can it be great? Okay, so what do we need to do to make it great? And then from there, if it's great, then what do we do to make it extraordinary? Let's just raise our standard. Let's just raise our expectation a little bit. And so when we do this, okay, we always are looking for something that will help us improve, help us grow, or just to see something maybe from a different perspective. And so, yes, I feel like we should do that with a lot of things. But when it comes to the vision, absolutely. I believe that, again, what's the greatest vision that we could obtain? Again, it's different for all of us. For me, when I was bodybuilding, again, I had a specific idea of what that greater vision looked like and the impact that I would make by living that vision. It's not just about yourself and you, although you're in it because it's part of you, but it's what impact will you make and what's the greatest impact you can make? And so, yes, reframing it so that, what is the most extraordinary vision that I can see and feel and live look like? Absolutely. So go from good, better, best, or even perfect. I believe that perfection is a real thing. A lot of people say it's not real. I believe it is because, listen, if God created all things, then there's got to be perfection. And so he's created all of us. So I think that even though we can look at all of our flaws and see everything that's wrong with ourselves, there's a lot perfect. There's a lot of things that are perfect. And like Jodi said, our bodies are a self-healing mechanism. It knows how to heal itself. We just have to sometimes move out of the way and let it do with it what it's supposed to do. So,
well, and I do. So, I want to talk about the concept of being perfect. I tell myself how perfect I am.
I do the same thing. I
Yeah.
do too. I don't tell too many people that because,
all my imperfections, perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
And because it's about self-love and self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
And, look, if you have a hiccup, okay, a lesson, that's perfect because you needed the lesson. That's what makes it perfect, because you get to learn. And so that's the reframe, people. You get to be exactly who you are. And that lesson, by the way, may have not only been for you, but it may be for somebody else. Perfect. You are perfect. Do you get it? Perfect. Read my lips. Perfect. Okay. So Chris says, now that I'm done being silly, do you set intention in regards to how you want to feel throughout the day? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not hard for me, again, for a lot of people who have not stopped and thought about, what their intention for the day is, or taking time for themselves early in the day, that they may not be thinking about their feelings. They might not be thinking about a lot of those things, but again, it's automatic. Okay. When you tie into your greater vision lights you up. Okay. That's why I always say your greater vision is important, but we're in a world where 98% of people are incredibly left brain, meaning that they are all about the detail. They have to analyze everything. And so when you think of a big picture, a greater vision of you at your best self, that right there is something that sometimes you might say is out in front of you. And I don't think of it as out in front of me. I think about it as who I am right here, right now.
Yes.
So essentially, that greater vision of me is what impact can I make in the world today, and how much more can I show or express, the love that's in me for my family or for the people that are around me, and so, again, I ask myself those questions. But yes, I feel like, my intention in regards to, how I feel, it's automatic. It becomes automatic because when you tie into you being the best version of yourself, you automatically feel more empowered. You automatically feel more inspired, more uplifting, and you want to uplift others as well. It doesn't become all about you. Our bodies actually produce things like oxytocin when we help others, whether we know it or we don't know it. So essentially what happens after a while when you say, this is not all about me, this is how can I impact the world or the people around me, and whoever I come in contact today with, how will I make their life better? When you ask yourself those questions and then you start to do the things that, lift other people up, maybe it's just smiling, sharing a smile, or just saying something nice instead of, judging. What happens is we start producing different chemicals that make us feel elevated and lifted.
Yeah, Dr. Stephen Spencer had mentioned about how self-forgiveness or forgiveness creates a dopamine effect in the brain. And then that creates melanin, and then the melanin connects with the sun. And then, and then it charges your mitochondria. If I've not gotten it all right, I do have it written down somewhere, just telling you. But it was just like, I'm like, Stephen, okay. But the bottom line is forgive and start with yourself. Because what Chris wrote here was, she says, maybe true acceptance and love of self is perfection. And that is a beautiful statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's tie this to workplace, because what people may not have really connected is that this is all about workplace, because you are here to do some kind of work, right? Whether it's in a corporate environment, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for spirit, which is still work. Maybe you're raising the children. That's work. And that's the most important work, if you ask me. But I'm gonna move this more into like the corporate workplace, or even, whether it's small or large, it doesn't matter. One of the things that I had shared in the book and on a broadcast was that right now the average person is on 4.7 drugs, which is costing corporations about over $18,000 a month. Okay, which is about 200,000 some odd dollars a year. This is not a model that can be sustained. Now, when I was employed, not self-employed, but employed by a corporation. And keep in mind, I'm also going to say, let's assume that these corporations are self-insured. So I want you to kind of like think about that, because they are actually the ones paying for the medications. Okay, when you decide to have surgery, they're paying for that because they're self-insured, which means maybe it's Blue Cross or Humana, they're managing the program, but anything that gets submitted, your employer is paying for. Okay. Well, my employer was paying for an ungodly amount of money, to over $2 million a year for me to work for them, because they had me on 50 drugs at the same time. So that was just a crazy number. And the exact numbers are in the book. Buy the book, listen to the book. I have it on audio. It's come to my website, and I have ebook, whatever you need, print, we got you. But it's not a sustainable business model. What is sustainable is teaching your employees what is the alternative to a drug, which, in case you don't know this, drugs were created based upon nature. Every drug, just about. And they took a plant. An allopathic model is to extract the goodness out of the plant, pair it with a synthetic like petroleum, and sell it for a higher price, get you addicted, and think that you need that for the rest of your life. Okay. And as one of my friends, Dr. Patrick Porter, said on the last podcast, was that like something like Prozac was only intended for someone to be on for a maximum of 2 weeks. And it's black box, people. It's black box because it calcifies your pineal gland. It's black box because it tears your muscles. It's black box because it's really not supposed to be taken. Okay. So let that sink in. So if you're having anxiety, and I'm not prescribing to anybody, okay? So, but if you have anxiety, lavender is great. Frankincense is great. Addictions, N-acetylcysteine, black pepper. If you have pain, you can pair N-acetylcysteine with turmeric, and it's a natural anti-inflammatory. It replaces your NSAIDs. So, I mean, and here's the thing. These are the things that I was taught by another holistic doctor. He was an amazing, amazing man out in Libertyville, Illinois. And this is the short list. This is the short list. I mean, and I have on my website all these free ebooks. All this is free to you, okay? Where you can download this information, and I would print it out so you have it as a reference tool. You don't want to be on your computer all day long. There's a lot of blue light here, right? Not really helpful for you. Not the same blue light as that. And when we exchange real plants, real meat, okay, we have that instead of synthetics, okay? The body functions in a way that's unrecognizable. Now, it's unrecognizable if you haven't done it before. Jeramy and I, we recognize it. Okay. So meaning that I want to talk about lunch. Okay. So you have lunch, and most people I speak to say, hey, I get that midday slump, so now I just don't eat lunch. Okay. So that may be a common response that your body has, and all your friends have it as well. They get a slump, so now they don't want to eat lunch because they got to work the rest of the day. That's common, not normal. If you're eating real food, you are going to be energized after lunch or dinner or breakfast. That's how it's supposed to be. And if you're in a situation, okay, hold on. If you're in a situation where you don't feel like you can focus, okay, this is, and I can't take one now because I took my hit earlier from Conscious Flow. So there's but Jeramy created these products, and how long have I known you now? Since, was it 2022 or 2020? 23.
About 3 years almost. Yeah,
almost 3 years. And I had a very close friend of mine use this, who had symptoms of ADD and ADHD, and he started using this with sound frequency, and his symptoms went away, right? But this increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex of the brain. That's your executive center, people. And so it comes in grape, it comes in green apple, which is one of my favorites. It comes in cherry. And let's say you don't love the taste. Like, I do love the taste, but let's say you don't worry about it. Take it and feel better and go on with the rest of your day. Okay. It's just that simple. Okay. I mean, because you took that icky cough medicine and that was filled with petroleum. This is filled with goodness. It's got the God molecule. So, actually plural, God molecules. Okay. Now, I also want to talk about what Jeramy does in his plant. So Jeramy understands frequency. Jeramy, as you know, understands thoughts. And he just puts love on all of his products. I remember when you were creating Conscious Flow and you sent me a video, which, by the way, people, this thing rocks. I mean, and I'm going to let Jeramy talk about the difference between the two of them in a minute. But when Jeramy was creating this, he's writing love
Yes.
And
If you take that label off, it says love on that bottle underneath. It does.
oh, okay.
Yes, it
Wait, I'm gonna
does.
do the other one here because okay. So you're saying if I take this off, it's underneath, like okay. So let's.
You can find it on there.
So why don't you tell people the differences?
So, again, you guys have probably also saw Dr. Emoto. Dr. Emoto, puts he does crystallizes, thought or word, and, words like love, and puts them in crystallizes. And then essentially you see that it makes a beautiful snowflake when crystallized. It's geometric perfection. Whereas when it is something that's negative, it looks like a mud puddle. So again, like I said before, thought is the same thing. Thought again creates either something that's constructive and builds up, that's beautiful, like love, or it could be destructive and tears down, look like a mud puddle, like hate or, fear, those type of things.
I'm working on this, Jeramy.
Yeah. So anyways, again, we created all of our products that way. So, go real quickly back to corporate wellness. I work with a lot of businesses when I was up and doing our transformation programs up in Syracuse, New York. And so we had a lot of businesses that worked with us. And so essentially we use things like Upgrade to help people be more productive. Because most people, when they get up in their day, that's the two most consumed ingredients in the world. Number one is sugar. Number two is caffeine. Okay, so that's number 1 and 2. And so one's an excitotoxin, and another one, of course, is a stimulant. Okay, so when you think of something like caffeine, and people are living on caffeine, and of course it makes you so that you're not productive, because the blood goes into the limbic part of the brain where your body is in a simulated state of stress. And so when you're in a simulated state of stress and the blood is in the limbic part of the brain, you're reactive to your day. You're not proactive. When you're in a stress state, you're the only thing that matters. So you're thinking about, how do I save myself in today's world? And you're not thinking about how you can serve others and be better yourself. Essentially, what you're doing is trying to save yourself, because the blood is in the limbic brain. What these products do is they put the blood in the prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain where you have clear, concise, creative, focused thought. And that's what helps you dial in to getting more done, focusing on what's important, doing the vital work instead of the busy work, things like that. And so that's what we used in our corporate wellness, was that tool right there. It's just a tool for you to be able to direct your thought into the part of your brain where you have clear, concise, creative, focused thought, rather than doing what everybody else does. Okay, consuming the sugar, that's an excitotoxin. And of course, when you're in a stress state, your body's producing stress chemicals. Stress chemicals, they eat up and deplete your body of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the main neurotransmitter in the brain that sends the signals and delivers it. And so if you're depleting it, you're not sending the signals, you're not delivering it. And of course, acetylcholine is the body's main motor neuron, meaning that it connects the mind and the body. And it helps give you that energy that makes you feel great all day long. That's why children produce a lot of acetylcholine. That's why they are more inquisitive, they learn faster, they have lots of energy. This product floods your body with acetylcholine, making your brain fire on all cylinders, putting the blood in the prefrontal cortex again, so your blood is in the right part of the brain where it's in the executive control center where you're making those great decisions. So again, anyways, that's what we used to use in our corporate wellness, and it really was a great tool for helping people really become more productive and getting more out of their day. And that's what we're all here to make a difference, to make an impact. So
well, and then I was called to talk about price for a minute, because I think about objections, and I handle objections up front. So most people are going, not all, but a good chunk of the people are on the way to work. They're stopping at their local coffee shop, maybe Starbucks, and they're spending $4 or $5 on a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I have not had coffee since 2013. Okay. And I first started having, before I met you, dandelion tea, and filled with nutrients. So I have these recipes on my website, putting in dandelion tincture, echinacea, mushroom tinctures. Like, I put all these tinctures into my dandelion tea. Then I meet Carolyn McDougall, who owns Ticino, and she makes, yes, right? So like,
we
if
recommend
you're not buying her stuff, just make the recipe with whatever you got on my website, but you have options.
Yeah.
So I have that version of coffee, which I get my stimulant from nutrition, but it's not my first thing in the morning because I don't need it. This is.
Yeah, that's what, as soon as my feet hit the floor, I take an upgrade or half an upgrade, and that's again, that's part of my daily routine, is to kind of get me into that space where I can focus on what's important to me, and you're not scattered. You're literally, that dials you right in right away. So anybody hasn't taken it, I challenge you to try it for a week. Okay. And you'll find that every single day that, again, it brings an idea and then another idea. And again, ideas beget more ideas. And this actually helps really bring out your creative faculties. And so this is a product where I've written I write a lot for my clientele. So I have a clientele that we directly work with. And so, not everybody out in the world sees what we write. I have a number of books that I've written that are only been shared just with my clientele, nobody else. And so we'll share a lot of those things with the world. But, I always use my clientele as the people that I've always worked with, and I share it with them first. And then from there, we'll go to sharing it with the rest of the world. So Upgrade is one of those things. We use it with our clients first. Conscious Flow is one of those things. We've, boosted it out to our clientele first. We are actually just starting to launch Conscious Flow coming up in the next month here. And so
I'm like one of the few people getting it. Is that what you're telling me? Because
you are one of the few. You actually, you're one of the few that have actually gotten that product. I mean, we still have sold a lot of it because our clientele buys a lot of it, because we have quite a large clientele list that we've worked with over the years. So yeah, we've sold a lot just from our in-house audience, I should say. But we always test it and say, hey, how can this, again, like we talked about earlier, if this is good, how can it be great? And if it's great, how can it be extraordinary? So we just try to work on the improvement through the people that we work with specifically, that have been our clientele, that will give us good, trusted feedback.
Well, I have to tell you, okay, I think this is the appropriate time to let the cat out of the bag. Do you think?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I wrote this book. Literally, it took me 4 months to write it, and then God had a different plan, and I had to, do more. But I mean, it was written, right? So, but when I was writing the book, I wrote it on Upgrade. And then so every morning I'm starting with Upgrade. So, I mean, that's a non-issue. And then when I really, most people know I channeled this book. And so how did I channel it? With ease and grace? Because you can channel, and you can channel with ease and grace, right? If you want ease and grace, Conscious Flow. Okay. Yeah. And I took it before today's show. I take it before every podcast. And first of all, I want to talk about how I feel, right? I feel in my center. I feel love. I feel pure love when I take it. And because I'm in a love state, okay, what is God? Love. So I'm accessing consciousness. I'm accessing his words for me through the goodness that you brought to this world, through your products, through your life, through your wisdom and through your love. So thank you.
I want to add to that real quickly, biochemically, real quick. Okay, because my background is biochemistry.
Oh, that's why we're different, honey. Go ahead.
Yeah. So listen, when you love something, okay, just the act of thought of loving something, it makes your brain produce more acetylcholine. Okay, acetylcholine again it helps make the connection, and it sends and delivers the messages. And again, acetylcholine is also the body's main motor neuron. It wakes the brain up, it gets it firing on all cylinders. Okay, and so essentially, when you love something, again, it helps those neurons that are firing together. It helps them wire together so that you learn faster. And so again, like, for instance, if you have a subject that you love in school, you loving that subject makes you produce more acetylcholine, so you learn it faster, you learn it easier and more effectively. If you don't like it and you think you're not going to be able to use it, and you're like, this is not for me, I don't like it, and what happens is the blood now goes to the limbic brain, and now what happens is it makes it harder to learn. Okay,
Right.
you start producing stress chemicals, and the stress chemicals start to deplete acetylcholine. Okay, again, acetylcholine is produced when you love something or when you're in love. It makes you feel light. It helps you feel good. And so you're right. Okay, biochemically, there's love in it, but
Well,
also
let's talk about biochem. Let me talk about that a little more, and tie it to the functional food program, which is, what I'm bringing to the world. I mean, they can get it now, but it'll be ready for corporations very soon, where it's can be delivered with more ease and more grace for their employees. And if you want the Freeman formula, this is the link. It's in the thread, and the discount code is Jodi15. So.
perfect.
What my functional food program does, it is a lifestyle program. It is not a diet program. Okay. And it helps you to understand all things that are not just food, okay, that are impacting your brain and your emotions. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you, yes, I'm a brain health professional. Yes, I'm board certified in neurolinguistic programming. I will never be a Jeramy. I will never be a Dr. Daniel Amen. I'm really here to second grade everything for everybody because that's how I prefer it. Okay. So that you understand that if you're feeling depressed, cashews are nature's antidepressant, that you can have a piece of citrus fruit, that you understand that if the food is not organic, that you are going to have the opposite effect of what you expect. And I really just make it super easy for people to understand what each food is doing for your brain and your emotions, and what things in your environment, what toxins in your environment are driving you down, that are making you feel, going back to the very beginning of the show, what's making you feel depleted. And so that's why I also created the 3 R's program, which is a completely different program, but it ties it. It's like, remove, replace, receive, right? So remove what doesn't serve you, replace it with those things that fuel your soul, and receive the light of God. Or receive the light of you fill in the blank. Okay. like I'm not even here to tell you what to do on that either. Because if I'm here to serve you in the way that I think that that I'm supposed to help you find your path, not my path, your path, so that you can rise up and do what you're supposed to do. Because you're not supposed to be a mini me. You're not supposed to be a mini Jeramy, although Jeramy's no mini anything. So, but you are supposed to be exactly who God intended you to be.
Well said.
Yeah. And so we, both of us, are really here to help you find who you are, right?
Yeah.
And the more that you release the toxicity, the traumas, the thoughts, the toxic foods and chemicals and water, and the toxic EMF, when you start releasing all of that, it's like you really get to know who you are. And someone asked me the other day, one of my clients, she goes, I would love for you to write a book on how you spiritually awoke. And, part of me was like, yeah, I remember, like, there's a lot of different things. And then it occurred to me after I hung up the phone with her that this is how I spiritually awoke, the book, because it was choosing to release all the toxins in my life that allowed me to spiritually awake. If you want to awaken spiritually and that's important to you, follow the book and get the workbook. You can now get it on my website. Okay. And I can sign it for you and deliver it for you, like in the mail. Free shipping, by the way. Don't have to pay for shipping. And look, people, the greatest gift that you can give in the world is to know yourself deeply, because the deeper that you know who you are, the greater that you can give to the people that are important to you. And it took me a lifetime to understand that. I won't sit here and preach and say, oh, I knew all that. No, I didn't. Do you want to add to that?
Well,
incredible?
listen, we're in a world where, we do go down a rabbit hole throughout
Mm.
our life sometimes of just eating, out of convenience and eating foods that don't serve us and that do kind of gum our system up and create inflammation. And the next thing you know, you have aches, you have pains, and everybody knows here that it's kind of hard to manage your mind when your body's in pain. And so when the body is in disarray, it's not easy to manage the mind. So here we're talking about thought, we're talking about the mind. But when the body is in disarray and it's in pain, it's achy, it's lethargic, it's sluggish, it is not easy to manage the mind. And so, get the body in alignment, cleanse it, clean it. Okay. Everything needs to be detoxified at some point. When it gets detoxified and cleaned out, then you'll see that your mind becomes clearer and that you can think clearer. And then you can start from the top down instead of, always trying to manage the body and that next ache, that next pain that's pulling your mind. Okay. Our bodies are a temple and we get to be able to operate this kingdom, with the things we think and how we think. But first and foremost, the things that are coming into us, what we're eating, and of course, then what's coming out of us. Okay. Those are things that are really, really important. Okay. So essentially, what Jodi is saying here is that, listen, there's a lot of things out there that can hurt us, but she's going to give you a lot of options in that book that show you how to be able to reclaim your power. This is your power plant. How to build this power plant up so that it is projecting the light, your light. Okay, whatever it is you're here to bring to the world. What is your light? You're a power plant. Build it up. And then, of course, then you manage it through the things you're thinking, the things you're saying, and the things you're doing. It helps bring everything into alignment. But when the body is out of alignment and it's in pain and suffering and lethargic and tired, we can't bring our best selves. We can't bring our full light. Okay, so we do have to manage. We'd have to think about the things that we're putting into our bodies, okay, that are affecting our minds. So I would definitely
hear that pain shrinks the brain, right? So when you're in pain, we know that pain does shrink your brain, so it's making you less effective. And going back to Juneteenth, tying it all up for everybody. This is the day where they ended slavery, right, in the United States. Oh, somebody's coming here with her little pitter-patter feet. She's like, Mommy, 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 I want to see Jeramy. Come on over, girlfriend. She's so funny. We ended slavery. And we ended slavery, let's say, for a group of people. Oh, goodness gracious, come here. She wants to come up. We ended slavery for a group of people, and now it's time to end slavery for yourself. Okay? End it by treating your body as a temple so that you can think for yourself, choose for yourself, not be influenced by people and their expectations and their desires, but what you want and what God wants for you. End it that way.
Well said.
Thank you. Say hi to Faggy.
Hi, Fagla.
All right. So I want to thank you so very much for contributing to the book, for sharing your wisdom, for supporting me along the way as I wrote this book, for helping me in a way that's unrecognizable. People, I wouldn't have the audiobook if it wasn't this man. Like, I'm just going to tell you right now. Not going to go into all that, but just want to say thank you, Jeramy Freeman. And then buy his products. So, because they're good for you anyway. So, but thank you. And she's like, yeah, who are you talking to? She's talking to spirit. Look at her. She's like, ooh. Mm. All right. Any last wisdom, words of wisdom?
No. I think again, the point of today's show was again, essentially to Listen, we all have to be our own health advocate. That's it. We have to all, when we were doing corporate wellness before, I had to tell people, listen, I'm not the leader. I'm not the one who's going to lead you into your best life. You are the leader of your life. You have to take responsibility. You have to be proactive in your own health journey. And so for each person that's listening to this or that might listen to this, you have to step into that leadership position. You have to make the choices that lead you down the right pathway and ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now the right thing? And the answers will come to you. You'll know. And so essentially, we all have to be our own health advocate in today's world, because otherwise you're going to be pushed. All kinds of different things are going to be pushed on you for somebody else's agenda. Okay. So you're here to let your light shine, to be your absolute best. And the way you're going to do that is by you listening to that voice inside of you every single day and doing the things that you know are right for you. We're just trying to give you some guidance, that will help you move in that direction. So I encourage all of you again to continue to, bring your best self to everything you do. Okay. We all know what that best self is. So just bring your best self to everything you do every day, all day long, and keep a smile on your face. Little orphan Annie, she was very prophetic when she said, you're never fully dressed without a smile. So keep that smile on your face and share it with the others around you.
I just got chills on that one. Thank you. Never fully dressed unless you are wearing a smile. I love it. Mwah. All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to end the show and stay tuned for next week. I think we have Gary Kiss, who's going to be talking about frequency. So, all right. We end that stream. And